Welcome to Stories from the Center of the Universe, the podcast about the human experience.
Yep. All right, Jeremy Moulder, welcome to the Center of the Universe, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I guess we should mention that you and I connected through, should I call him the great Stephen Wolfen, or is he just Stephen Wolfen?
We can call him the great. We can inflate his ego a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
That way, when he hears it, he can be like, "Hey, they called me the great Stephen."
Yeah, for the rest of his life, he can refer to
exactly.
Yeah, very cool. And you two know each other because you have teenage sons that play travel hockey.
Correct. Yep. We have two. He has his son, and my son they play hockey together. Actually, this will be the third year they've played hockey together.
And Jeremy, I have to tell you, as a 52-year-old from Virginia, it's shocking to me that I'm talking to a guy who lives in Alabama right now, from Lower Alabama, who knows a guy from Atlanta, Georgia, and y'all are sending your kids all over the country to play ice hockey.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. I mean, we travel to Atlanta 3 times a week, so it's about 2 hours. Actually, according to the GPS, it's actually 2 hours and 18 minutes each way. We do that 3 times a week just for practice, and then we go all over the place for different tournaments and friendly games. And
it sounds like a part-time job for you and your wife.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so
it takes up a lot of time.
How many kids total do you have?
Just one.
Just the one.
If I had more than one, I would not be doing any of this. Hockey is way too expensive.
you've got a full-time gig, which we'll talk about later, and then you've got a second full-time gig getting your kid all over the country to play ice hockey.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, let me ask this: what position does he play?
He's a goalie.
Does he have aspirations of playing at higher levels?
He does. His goal is to hopefully make it to the NHL one day, or at least get college paid for.
If that would be awesome, right? If he gets college paid for.
Yep, he wants a college scholarship, and if he's able to go even further, then the sky's the limit for him.
I'm rooting for him just because you and I now know each other, but I'm also rooting for him because if he made the NHL, he'd have to be the first kid from Alabama to make it.
I believe actually he would be.
That's crazy.
I don't think. I mean, we'd have to look it up later, but I don't think there's anybody from Alabama that's ever made it to the NHL.
They're all Russians, Canadians, and guys that grew up in like the Northeast and the North Midwest.
Yeah, and there's some in California and Arizona.
Really?
Yeah. What's his name? Austin? No, not Austin Matthews. Yeah, no, it is. It's Austin Matthews. He was out in Arizona.
Who is he?
He plays for Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays for Toronto. He actually grew up in Arizona and stuff. Actually, a friend of ours, thinking about our friend, I remember now, our friend of ours, he grew up playing with him.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, you think desert when you think Arizona, you're not thinking ice hockey.
Yeah, no, I don't think ice hockey in Arizona. I've been to Arizona. It's terrible. Me personally, I don't like Arizona. I mean, if anybody listens to this and they're from Arizona, I'm sorry. Well, but I just don't like Arizona. It's entirely way too hot. When you can walk through a Walmart parking lot and you go inside Walmart and there's tar footprints because the ground is so hot, that's a problem.
It seems inhumane or unhuman.
A little bit. And I've got family in Arizona. And they're like, why don't you come see us?
It's too hot. It's too hot.
120 degrees out there. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll stick with my humidity.
Yeah. Why does anybody live at 120 degrees willingly?
I don't know.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. All right.
They like it out there. I don't.
Yeah. I have no desire to go out there either. All right. So you grew up in Pensacola, Florida, which you and I refer to as, like a lot of people that are familiar with the area, as Lower Alabama.
Yes, sir. LA.
So what was it like growing up in Lower Alabama?
Actually, it wasn't too bad. Big Davie town. Big football scene. We've got, so the high school I went to, it's the actual high school Emmitt Smith graduated from.
Okay.
I actually got to meet him my junior year. They added his name onto the football stadium. Well, it's a bowl, but they added it onto the football field, added his name into it. He came in and they had a whole ceremony for it. Did a lot of fishing. growing up right there off the Gulf and went to the beach a lot. Like to the point now that as I've grown up, I don't even like hanging out at the beach.
It's beautiful there, right?
Oh no, it is absolutely. I mean, the white sugar sand beaches, and I mean, there's plenty of stuff to do. I mean, especially as you got older.
All right. So when when you had time to yourself to go do whatever you wanted, what were you doing most of the time? When you were like 10, 11, 12, that kind of thing.
Well, 10, 11, 12, I was either fishing with my buddies and their parents or whoever, and either that or doing woodwork with my grandpa.
Really?
Yep.
And you're in woodworking, which we're going to talk more about in a bit. But
Yep.
and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. Do you have all your fingers?
I do. I got all 10.
A lot of guys that work around.
Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I almost cut off this thumb.
Whoo!
I was about this close to cutting it off, and then I caught myself.
Is Grandpa still around?
Yep.
Does Grandpa have all his digits?
Yep.
That's unusual.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I know plenty of guys that have got deformed fingers or missing fingers and stuff. But I mean, that is one thing he instilled in me when I was younger was safety around tools, and it's kind of, I mean, I got all 10 of my fingers.
Yeah, you got to be uber
natural.
focused and uber serious, right? When you're around that stuff.
Do what?
When you're working with wood and you're cutting and you've got blades whirring that can slice through bread like it's butter, you got to be super focused and really careful.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. When you were a teenager, what were you doing?
Playing football and still doing woodwork, helping build houses and all kinds of different stuff, cabinets, doors, anything, everything, and then fishing.
What position did you play in football?
I was a guard, and then I also played linebacker every now and then, and sometimes I would play defensive tackle.
Did you enjoy playing the line?
I did.
Guards got the pull.
I've always been a bigger dude, so it was kind of fun to push other bigger dudes around.
How big of a dude were you in high school, height and weight?
When I graduated my senior year, I was 6'2", 315.
Oh my goodness. All muscle, right?
Yeah.
315.
Yep.
All right. So you graduate high school. Were you like, I'm going to join the Army because I've been waiting for a while to get in the Army, or was it?
No. So actually, when I graduated, I went to the Pensacola Junior College down there. I did that for a semester, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not really wanting to do college. And then, so it was about a year, and I graduated in May of 2005. And I joined in August of 2006. So a year and 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I decided to join the Army. But before that, I was actually going to join the Navy as a fireman. So I was a fireman down in Pensacola. And I was working on my EMT and all that stuff. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to join the Navy and be a fireman. Had my contract, or went to MEPS and all that stuff. Everything was good. And then was getting ready to go swear into the Navy and go off to basic. And my recruiter called me and said, hey, they're changing your contract. You're going to be this. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what that is. And he was like, it's an aviation fueler. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to be on an aircraft carrier or wherever, and you're going to fill jets. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you have to. I was like, no, I don't. I haven't raised my right hand at all yet. And so I went next door to the Army recruiter, and I was like, hey, man, I want to be infantry. And he looked at my ASVAB scores, and he's like, you're not going to be infantry. He's like, you need to be a medic with your background. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll be a medic then.
You get to do hard stuff like the infantry. You just you're fixing them up instead of
yeah, exactly. He was like, you'll get to train with them, you'll get to do all the fun stuff with them. He goes, but you'll be the medic. I was like, all right, whatever, man, that works. And then August 3rd, 2006, I took off and joined the Army.
All right, so did you serve because you had always wanted to serve as a younger kid?
I did.
Yeah.
Both of my granddads were in the Navy. 3 of my uncles were in the Marines. 2 of them did like 4 years, and then the other one, he did 20 plus years in the Marines. And then my great grandpa was actually in the Army Air Corps during World War II. He was a B-29 nose gunner.
Yeah. All of them badasses, I'm sure, right? Most of them badasses.
Yeah, we could say that.
So
I'm an Army guy, so I don't really,
No, well, your great grandfather technically was in the Army as well.
Yeah. No, he was. I mean, World War II guys. I mean, they're all badasses in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. And if your great grandfather had been a generation younger, he would have been in the Air Force. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, very cool. So, what was your understanding of the infantry before you actually went to basic?
They just go shoot things. That's all I knew about. I was like, hey, cool. I want to go shoot things. Let's do this. Sounds like fun.
You did a lot of fishing. Did you hunt as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So you knew your way around a weapon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Benning. Went to Fort Benning, Georgia for basic.
That's not too far from where you grew up, right?
No. It's about 4 hours. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Atlanta. 6 is Fort Benning.
All right. I know the Navy did this. I'm pretty sure the Air Force did this, but did the Army have stress cards in basic?
No, not when I went through.
Did they ever? I don't think they ever have.
I've heard they do.
Oh no, that's awful, right?
Yeah, I never got anything.
It kind of defeats the whole point of basic. Basic, one of the major points is to tear you down and to build you back up the way the Army wants to build you back up.
Exactly.
Stress cards
destroy you,
don't help
make
that.
you feel worthless, and then the Army goes, "Hey, now I'm going to mold you into what we need you to be."
Yeah, right.
And it worked great.
It works great, and it's one of those things that you don't want to do again, but you look back at fondly, right?
Oh yeah, no. While I was going through it, absolutely miserable. As soon as I graduated and my drill sergeants were nice to me, I was like, "Hey, you're not so bad of a dude. Like, you're actually pretty cool." And they're like, "No, we just have to be like that because you're a private and you're a trainee." And I'm like, they're like, "You're not a trainee anymore." I'm like, "Oh,
right, yeah."
Like,
by the way,
cool.
you're welcome. You're going to be a better soldier because of this.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, everything we did, all the stuff we made you do, all the horrible things we said to you, you're good now. I was like,
yeah, what? we were just like an older brother. That's all we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like an older brother picking on the younger brother and making him into a man.
Yeah. And it works.
It was a 19-year-old me. I was going, whatever, dude. All right, you can yell at me. I've been yelled at before. I had football coaches.
All right. So when you went to basic, what did you weigh in at?
I weighed in at basic at 260. No, 280.
What did you leave basic at?
230.
Whoo! That's a lot of push-ups, a lot of running,
and a lot of fat boy diet.
Did they basically tell you what you could eat and what you couldn't eat?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my recruiters are like, "Hey, man, you're a bigger dude. They're gonna tell you what you can and can't eat." I'm like, "All right, whatever. I really don't care. Like, I've done diets before. Cool, let's do it."
That's a lot of weight in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess you're in units that are doing hard stuff, and so you maintain a good weight, right?
Yep. And actually, when I got done with AIT, I was down to 195.
Wow.
That was the lowest, and I looked sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably didn't look healthy.
No, I couldn't remember the last time I'd been that weight.
Yeah, 195. You were probably like a freshman in high school, maybe.
Yeah, 8th grade, freshman in high school, probably.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So 315 as a senior in high school playing football to 195 by the time you finish AIT. How long was AIT for? You were a combat medic, right?
Yep. Oh Lord, it was 6 months.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Most AITs are like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Medical and intel tend to be really long.
Yep. So actually, there's some medical MOSs. They're there for almost a year.
Wow.
Like, what is it? The Mike 6 guys. Because there were some guys they would be there for combat medic school, and then they would go straight to Mike 6 to be an LPN.
Oh, really? The Mike 6s are there a lot of them?
Yeah, actually there are. They don't call them a Mike 6 now. I don't know what they call them now. They got their own whole MOS now. But when I joined, you were a 68 whiskey with a Mike 6. Was like an identifier.
Right.
like a special skill, and you became an LPN. So
LPNs weren't in the field, right? They were in hospitals.
Yeah, straight hospitals.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me go back to basic. What's either your fondest memory of basic or just the thing that kind of sticks with you as a crazy thing or just a memorable?
Okay, that's actually really easy to answer for you. My very first weekend there, it was a Sunday. We go to breakfast chow, and one of the dudes in our platoon got caught going to the ATM because he said he wanted to go AWOL. And we were like, oh, great. And our drill sergeant caught him. And we did not stop getting smoked until 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. And we started off at like 7 in the morning.
Oh, it was just a 14.5-hour smoke fest.
Yeah. In the PT pits, running around, running up and down into the barracks and stuff. And then our senior drill sergeant came in that night because we all got up at like 5 in the morning and started cleaning the barracks a little bit. So there's a little bit of dirty mop water and trash in the trash can still. Well, our senior drill sergeant came in that night and got really mad. He had his low crawl underneath the bunks to sweep his floors and dumped the trash can all over the barracks and spilled mop water everywhere. And I was going, how are we supposed to clean this place, dude? Like, the other drill sergeants got us outside doing push-ups and stuff in the dirt. Like, you're mad because your barracks aren't clean. I get it, but how are we supposed to? Like,
that was a 1-2 punch, man. They do it.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was probably the longest day of basic.
You probably lost 8 pounds that one day.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all, because we would go eat lunch and then it'd be like, oh, hey, guess where we're going? We're going back out to the PG field. Oh, good. I didn't like lunch anyways. Oh, now it's dinner chow. Oh, no, we're going back out. I didn't like dinner either. So
that was an expectation setter and an attention getter all in one.
Oh, absolutely. I became bulimic that day, without even wanting to.
Oh, man. Woo!
Eat food, throw it up. Oh, cool.
Yeah, you move around that much, you can't keep your food down.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, everybody threw up. And then if we threw up in the PT field, the drill sergeant got mad, and we're like, well.
Low crawling to mop the floor is a good one.
Yeah, he did. Under the bunk, 3 people side by side. And he said, if you move the bunks, we have to start over. Bunks got moved a lot.
So if you're a drill instructor and you also happen to be a sadist, you're in heaven.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like some of them are, because there's one dude when I went through basic, he got a pleasure out of just making dudes cry. I was like,
yeah, that was probably his goal.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
All right. So 6 months at Sam Houston.
Yep.
Did you enjoy that experience?
Actually, I did. Got to go do some fun things. Got to see the Riverwalk down there in San Antonio. Because on the weekends when we weren't training, there wasn't really anything to do other than clean the barracks. And once the barracks are clean and the drill sergeants blessed off on it, it was like, okay, hey, now you guys are free to do whatever. You hang around the area, or some guy, you get a group of dudes and we get taxis and go downtown and, go hang out down at the Riverwalk and just walk around down there and do whatever.
Yeah, it's not a bad city to be stationed in. A lot of places where you go to AIT, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. No, but Fort Sam is right there. It was, if I remember right, it was like a 10-minute cab ride from post to downtown.
Yeah, that's great for an Army post. That's
amazing. And we'd go walk around down there, spend the day down there, and be back by whatever time drill sergeant told everybody to be back and be in formation for the nighttime, like head count or whatever it was, and it'd be it.
Yeah. What's the coolest thing you learned at AIT for 68 whiskey?
Let's see. Probably how to do a crike.
Tell me more. I'm not a medical guy. What's a crike?
So basically cutting the throat and putting an airway in.
Like a trach?
Yeah.
Whoo.
Yep. Never thought I'd learn how to do that. And then I did. And I was like, so I had to actually have to do this. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I should probably really pay attention.
How did you practice? Were you doing it on
dummies? Just dummies.
Yeah.
They had a mannequin head or whatever. And then it had a piece of thick rubber across that was supposed to simulate skin, but it doesn't, because it's like half an inch thick.
Right.
and you're supposed to cut it and all that stuff. And then it had the anatomy there of the, the trachea and all that stuff. And then you practice putting the tube in and inflating the balloon and sealing everything off, securing it. But that was probably the most like interesting thing I learned. Because a lot of the other stuff I already knew how to do because of, working with the fire department and stuff.
Because you already had some medical experience.
Yep.
Did that come in handy?
Yeah. Actually, I made the EMT portion of AIT really easy.
Yeah, that's cool. You have all these skills today, or a lot of those skills still today?
Yep. I still maintain some of my certs. And then I actually, for my son's hockey team, I do all the, I do a majority of the medical stuff. Like I'll take a look at kids if they get hurt or do concussion testing on them and stuff if the team manager's not around. So
does anybody call you Doc?
No.
Were you called Doc when you were in units?
Oh yeah.
Of course you were. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't Moulder. I was Doc. Hey Doc, get over here. All right.
All right. Yeah, it's not a term of
always
affection.
Good when there's a group of like 6 of us around, and and then somebody yell, "Hey Doc, come here!" And we all look around and be like, "Oh wait, you're in my platoon. All right, now I'm coming over to you. I got you." We had to figure out who you were yelling at.
Right. Yeah, it's not an obvious immediate thing.
Yeah, no.
All right, so you finished AIT, and you told the Army you wanted to be with an infantry unit or something like an infantry unit, right?
Oh no, I didn't get an option.
So it was no part of the because I forgot it's the Army. They don't care.
No,
you're going to go where the Army needs.
Want to send you.
Yeah.
I was initially going to Italy, then I was going to go to Alaska, and then I ended up at Fort Lewis.
Italy's 173rd, right? Airborne guys, and then Alaska's 24th or 25th.
25th.
25th, and then what unit was at Lewis?
Second ID.
Second ID.
Well, there's a couple of them. There's triple nickel. There's second ID, and then you had the Rangers and SF guys up there too.
Yeah, West Coast for the Rangers was at Lewis primarily. Yeah, that's cool. And were you happy to be stationed at Lewis?
Initially, no. Just because I was like, holy crap, I'm way up north, never been up here. But then actually it kind of grew on me. It actually turned out to be a lot of fun, especially when my wife got up there and we had our son and we were able to take him to like Mount Rainier and up into Seattle and Tacoma area and all that stuff and see everything they had. I mean, it was completely different than growing up in flatland Florida.
Right.
I mean, I'd never seen really mountains or anything like that before. And like we'd wake up, walk out our back door and look at Mount Rainier every morning.
It's gorgeous up there. It just rains a lot, right?
Yeah. Everybody says it rains a lot. I mean, it does, but it's not like southern rain. Like it's enough to get your clothes damp and make you uncomfortable. But like, no, not like down here in like Alabama or growing up in Florida where it was like you walk 2 seconds to your car as soon as you leave a door and you're drenched. Like, no, you could walk to your car and be like, oh, my clothes are a little damp up there. I'm like, all right. And then they dry off, not like having to wring out a shirt or anything like that because you walked outside your mailbox.
Right. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
I never used an umbrella up there.
Really? Okay.
Nope.
It's a misconception that I've had for all these years.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it rains a lot and it's cloudy and all that stuff, but it's not like a thunderstorm.
It's not like a torrential downpour.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely not. It's just enough to make you uncomfortable and piss you off at times.
So were you in the Cav, a Cav troop?
I was in a Cav squadron and did 6 years up there with them. And then actually when I got stationed down to Fort Benning, I ended up going back to another Cav unit. So my entire career was in the Cav. 6
years in a Cav unit in a row? That's unusual, right?
Well, actually, if you look at it, it was 8 total. 6
That's a long
at
time.
Fort Lewis and then 2 down here.
Yeah, but 6 in Fort Lewis, typically Army guys don't stay in the same unit for that long.
No.
Yeah, so
really, I mean, it's like 3-4 years and they're gone. But when we got back from our first deployment, they let some of them leave, and then the other ones, they all fenced us to stay with the unit. Yeah. And then we ended up deploying a second time, and then I finally got to leave.
Was what size unit deployed the first time you deployed? Was it the entire division?
Well, it was our whole brigade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was 5th Brigade, 2nd ID the first time, and then we got reflagged to 2-2 ID.
So you ended up how long were you in before you deployed, or the first time you deployed?
Oh, let's see. I had been in our unit I got there in April of 07, and then we deployed in July of 2009. Yeah,
July of 9.
July of 09, because it was right after my son's birthday.
So you had almost been in 3 years.
Yep.
The first time you deployed. Were you looking forward to it? Were you anxious? Were you scared? What was running through your head?
Actually, a whole lot of mixed emotions. It was kind of, all right, cool. Now I get to actually go do what I signed up to do. You know what I mean? But then it was also well, crap, I've already had guys killed over there, like friends of mine that I went to AIT with. And I'm like, I got a wife and son now. You know what I mean? But it was also at the same time going, yeah, but this is kind of what I signed up to do.
Yeah.
It was excitement. It was fear. It was just a mixture of everything.
It's a hell of a thing to rationalize going to do something that dangerous when you know you have loved ones that rely on you and want you to be around, and you're doing something that could make you not come back. It's
oh yeah, no, it was an eye opener whenever I was 22 and filling out a will. I was like, never thought I'd do this at the age of 22. I figured I'd be, like 50 or older before I filled out a will. And then they're like, hey, you need to fill out a will before we deploy. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
It's part of the checklist, right?
Yeah. They're like, don't worry. We got, JAG to help you out. All right, cool. And let's fill this thing out. And they're like, hey, if you come back a vegetable, do you want your wife to make the decisions on if they pull the plug? I'm like, sure, she can decide. Cool, whatever.
Questions nobody should have to answer, especially a 22-year-old.
Yeah, no. I'm like, you guys know something I don't know? Like, I don't even know where we're going. Like, is it a bad area? Is it a good area? Like,
well, so what was 5th Brigade's mission over there?
It was, well, at first it was kind of like a counter guerrilla thing, and then it turned into win the hearts and minds of Afghans.
So that happened in 09.
Yep, 09 and 10 is while I was gone. When we started over there, it was kind of like, hey, do what you got to do. Here's the rules of engagement. And then by the end of it, it was kind of like, hey, win the hearts and minds of them. If they shoot you and they drop a weapon, then don't do anything.
So we went from counterinsurgency to
there you go. Counterinsurgency. That's the term I was looking for, not counter guerrilla.
Yeah, we're here to help is the hearts and minds thing. And hearts and minds, like I'm not sure that's possible, right? I mean, you were there. Did you feel like it was possible?
Not with the people we were around. I mean, my second deployment, yeah. I mean, but because we were in like downtown Kandahar, and there seems to be a higher educated population there. And from what I understand, up in Kabul, it's even better. But like my first deployment being in the outskirts, being out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, like those people, there's a lot of them that are super uneducated and they did not like us.
Yeah, because you were not like them. You were nothing like them, and you were foreigners. It was like you had landed from a different planet. Yeah,
I mean, the only thing they really wanted from us was medical help.
Yeah, so it was small villages and Taliban.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that entire deployment, was it counterinsurgency work the entire time?
Yes and no. It just kind of depended on the mission set. I mean, there'd be times where, our unit would go through and, go through a village and search everything and all that stuff. And then we'd also have times where it'd be win the hearts and minds. Like we'd go do medcap missions where we'd bring all the medics, go set up in a building and say, hey, all you guys come in here and we'll treat you. Whatever illness you got, we'll see if we can fix it. Any injuries you got, we'll wrap it up. We'll clean it up. We'll do whatever we got to do. If you got a cyst, you got a boil, we'll cut it out for you. Just try to make everybody happy.
Were most of the Afghanis thankful that you guys were doing things like that?
So when we did that, they were absolutely thankful. Like they would come in and we'd have our interpreter sitting there and, a medic would be working with one, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, we'd sit there and be like, all right, well, hey, what's going on?" And they'd be like, "Oh, well, I've got this pain in my foot." And you'd look down and they'd have like a giant cyst on their leg. And then we'd call the PA over there and we're like, "Hey, he's got a cyst." And it was like, "All right, well, let's get him over here and we'll cut it out real quick, suture it up, make him feel all nice and neat, and then give him some antibiotics and send him on his way. Or they'd come up and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, we've had a cough for like 4 weeks." Okay, well, here's some antibiotics. Here's this, here's that. Make sure you're taking this, make sure you eat when you take it or whatever it was, and this should help you feel better.
So when you're doing the medical assistant days or a couple of days, it's a bunch of combat medics and maybe a couple of PAs kind of thing?
Yep. Yeah, we'd have our PA that was with us, and then they would fly in another PA from the fob up the road to come down and help. And then maybe the Profus doc. So basically a doc out of the hospital that was assigned to our unit. He would come and help as well.
So you were an HHT in the Cav squadron, and then you were attached to one of the troops?
Yeah, so I was in HHT. I got attached to Alpha Troop, and then during our first deployment, we actually it's kind of confusing. We got detached from our squadron, our troop did, and we got attached to an infantry battalion. And then when we got attached to the infantry battalion, they took our troop and split us up and put 2 different platoons in each different company. Yeah, it's a whole mess. Makes sense in my mind. I explain to other people and they look at me crazy. I'm like,
no, I mean, it depends on the mission, it depends on the commander and all that and what they want to do. And there's lots of rules about what they can and can't do. And I'm sure they didn't violate the rules, but the casual.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. No, I mean, because they took, so whatever platoon from us that they put with the infantry battalion, they took a platoon from the infantry company. I'm sorry, whatever platoon they took from us to put with the infantry company, they took a platoon from the company and put it with our troop. So it wasn't like they took our troop and completely disbanded us across the infantry. They actually had our troop working with them, but they had 2 infantry platoons and then 1 cav platoon, where everybody else had 2 infantry platoons. And we all had, thinking about it now, we all had 2 infantry platoons and 1 cav platoon.
And you guys were striker, but effectively dismounted where you were?
Yep.
Or
yeah, no, we did a lot of, we initially did a lot of driving around with the strikers, and then we also did a lot of dismounted stuff, walking through the villages, walking through the bazaars, anywhere and everywhere.
Did strikers really work in Afghanistan?
Believe it or not, yeah.
Huh.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, it seems odd to me. I think of the entire country as being very mountainous, but I'm guessing it's not.
No, so where we were, it was actually pretty flat. Now, I mean, up north, from what I understand about northern Afghanistan, I don't think a striker would work. I mean, I think it might. I mean, I've never deployed up in that area. I was in, RC South area, and there was a lot of flat land. I mean, yeah, there were mountains and stuff, but that was over in like Helmand where the Marines were. I mean, we could see the mountain range that divided us and Helmand. But other than that, I mean, it was just flat desert and roads.
Did you feel like you were in a pretty remote part of the country, given what U.S. supply could do?
You mean like for getting supplies?
Yeah, if you needed something, would it take a long time to get it to you?
Yes and no. I mean, we had just about everything we needed, but if you wanted to go, if say you wanted to go to the PX or whatever, the guys on Kandahar could just walk up the road and go to the PX. For us, we had to drive like an hour and a half up the road, or 2 hours. I don't remember how long it was. So we'd have to drive up the road to go to the PX to be able to get whatever. I mean, and then there were times they would come down and see us and bring stuff from there, like, cigarettes and dip and energy drinks and razors and all that other stuff.
Did you, I only needed 2 things when I deployed. I wanted Diet Mountain Dew and dip. And if I got those, I was happy.
Yeah, dip and cigarettes, that was good.
Yeah. And did you ever run out?
Once or twice.
Yeah, it's not a good day.
No, and then you would smoke an Afghan cigarette, and those are terrible.
Why were they terrible? Were they not tobacco? Were they something else?
Oh no, they were. They were just. It was like a Marlboro Red, but like 100 times worse. It was terrible. Like you take a drag and you're like, oh God, there's my lungs. Yep, I feel those. I feel every bit of that.
I just lost a couple weeks off my life.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That track, yeah.
Smoke a cigarette and you lose about a year.
So, were you in a lot of firefights the first deployment?
Yeah. I mean, nothing. I would say nothing out of the ordinary.
What are we talking? Once a week, a couple times a month?
More like a couple times a month. We would have guys, get in firefights when we go help or whatever. Or it was, and then there were quite a few like IEDs and stuff.
Yeah. Were you ever in a vehicle that was struck by an IED?
Yep.
Tell me about that experience.
Nah, I'd rather not.
Okay. No, I understand. Yeah, look, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I'd rather not.
Yeah. Well, are there parts of that story you don't mind telling, or is it just the whole thing? You just don't want to go there?
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Whatever you want to talk about. I understand. Did you feel like you were accomplishing a lot over there as a unit and as an individual?
Yeah. I mean, me personally. I mean, I think medically my first deployment, I think medically we did wonders. I mean, there's out of everybody I treated, there's actually I don't think there's any of them that we lost. I mean, once they got past us, they were good to go. I mean, once they got past us, whatever happened, I have no idea. But I mean, we gave them, treatment just like we would anybody else. Yeah, I mean, we had our PA was real big on that. If they came in the aid station and they were missing an arm or they were missing a leg or whatever, like it was still okay. Hey, look, yeah, I get it. He very well could be Taliban, but guess what? We have no idea. He stepped on an IED. Maybe it was one he was digging in or whatever, but we're still going to treat him.
Because at the end of the day, he's a human, and we don't really.
Yeah, know. No, exactly. And it was. I mean, that was his thing. He was like, yeah, I get it. These guys could be absolutely horrible human beings. And he was like, but A, we don't know. And B, we kind of have the Geneva Convention telling us we have to treat them. And I'm like, I understand that.
and look, life is about odds, and the odds that he was a bad guy pretty low.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, because you never knew who was who. So it was like, okay, well, if we don't give him good treatment, could that come back on us and bite us in the ass later on down the road? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you were gone for that deployment, like in country, about a year, or was it less than that back?
12 months.
12 solid months in country. That's a long time.
Maybe a few days shy. I mean, and then the 2 weeks for R&R. So I'd say maybe 11 and a half total.
In country because of the 2 weeks of R&R.
Yeah, because of 2 weeks R&R.
Did you take that earlier or later?
I did. So I left in June and I was home in November. I was home for Thanksgiving, I believe.
Okay.
If I remember right. Yeah, I was home for Thanksgiving.
So you had more time on the back side of R&R than you had on the front side.
Yeah. And personally, I would much rather not have R&R. It'd just be, my second deployment was 9 months, no R&R. It was great. Did you come home for R&R, or did you meet? Yeah, no, I did. I came home, hung out with my wife and son for 2 weeks, and I mean, we had a good time. I mean, and I say it was great not having R&R, but it was good to see him. But then it was like, oh, hey, look, I have to leave again. And my son was 3 at the time when I deployed, so he didn't understand.
Yeah, he.
No, I'm sorry. He was 2 when I left. Yeah, 2 when I left. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was 2. He had just turned 2, so he didn't understand that. Like when I first got back for R&R, he kind of looked at me like, "Who are you and where you been, dude?"
Yeah.
And then
it's a bummer, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It was hard enough saying bye once, and then you see everything that goes on over there, and it's like, okay, now I get to say bye again. And you still don't know if you're coming back. I mean, it was easier the second deployment than it was my first, because there was 9 months. I talked to him on the phone and then I came home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you deployed twice for that first deployment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like leaving twice, especially that early in the deployment.
Yeah.
Going home on R&R.
Yeah. So when you came back to Lewis.
Yep.
What did the Army do to help you reintegrate with life in the States? Even though you're still a soldier, and that's a different lifestyle than a typical civilian lifestyle, it's an adjustment, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, it absolutely is. I mean, I came back from my first deployment and I'd been home maybe 24 hours. And I guess the president was up there or something, and some crop duster airplane like flew into the 500-mile like no fly zone for the president, and they scrambled jets and broke the sound barrier right over Fort Lewis and shook my house. And my wife was laying across my lap, and I kind of was just like, "Hey, get off me! I got to figure out what just blew up." Like, I mean, then actually, I really don't think there was much of anything we really did. It was kind of like, okay, hey, we're back. Go do the SRP stuff. Here's 2 weeks of leave, and we're back to work.
You only got 2 weeks of leave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Got back. I was home. What was it 2 weeks, I think? And then I took 2 weeks of leave after doing all the redeployment stuff, all the physicals, and talking to everybody like, hey, did you get exposed to blood over there? I was like, I was a medic. Yes.
Yes. A lot. Yeah.
No. I mean, yeah. What do you want me to tell you? They're like, well, did you do this? I'm like, yep. Did you do this? Yep. All right, cool. Here you go. Bam, stamp it. All right, we're out. And then get back, and everybody's like, all right, hey, take your 2 weeks of leave. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and we're getting back to training.
Do you, since both of your deployments, have you been to the VA for anything? And I'm not asking for medical answers.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, I've been to the VA for stuff. I mean, I don't like the VA.
So is the process just ungodly slow, and
Yes.
even when you get to see somebody, it's not very helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see my primary care with the VA every 6 months, and it's, hey, go get some blood work done. All right, cool. Here's what your blood work says. You got anything wrong with you? And I'm like, well, my shoulder still hurts. All right, see you later. Come make another appointment for 6 months.
It's almost like you're going through an assembly line.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's how it feels.
All right. So when you deployed the second time, you were with 2-2, you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same exact unit, but our brigade just got reflagged.
And 2-2 was still at Fort Lewis, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The entire brigade was at Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. And so where'd you deploy the second time?
Same area, just a little bit further up the road. I was sorry, computer was trying to restart. So first deployment, I was in RC South. Well, both deployments I was in RC South. So first deployment, I was out in Mayawand, and then that's out in the middle of nowhere. And then second deployment, I was actually in Kandahar City on a FOB.
So what year was this, by the way?
First one was 09 to 10. Second one was 12 to 13.
So it had been a couple of years. It sounds like that brigade kind of stayed in the same area for a while.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, we did. We actually were in the same.
Well, I'm in division. Sorry, that division stayed in the same place. For a while. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think division was there because when we deployed the first time to Afghanistan, second ID's, I think it was 3rd or 4th Brigade, was coming back from Iraq. There was a whole big thing of, oh, look, the last vehicle's coming across the Iraqi border, blah, blah, blah. Like they were doing that as we were leaving.
Operation New Dawn in Iraq. It's basically the operation to get everything out of the country.
Yeah,
I
don't know anything about Iraq. Never been there, except to stop on the way home for R&R.
It's not a place you want to visit. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I've never been to Afghanistan, and I'm sure you tell me the same thing about Afghanistan.
Yep, not a place you want to visit. It's not fun. I wouldn't go vacation there.
You have to be nuts, right?
Yeah.
So was the second deployment? You were in a FOB. You were in Kandahar City. Was it significantly different than your first deployment?
Absolutely. So because of the rank I was and all that stuff, and my commander had me. So our HHT, we broke off. We had a different mission set, and we were working hand in hand with the Rangers and their mission set at the time. And it was a whole different experience. I wasn't out walking around every day. I wasn't driving around or anything like that. It was more so doing stuff in the talk and then doing missions at times. Like it wasn't a daily task of, hey, we're going to go walk around for 8 hours a day in the middle of summer.
Were wounded transported to you, or were you out?
No, so wounded would come to the aid station, and whenever they had them, we would treat them and stuff. But I mean, other than that, I mean, that was about it, because I was more senior and I wasn't a line medic anymore, so I wasn't out walking around with the dudes and all that stuff. I had other guys doing that I was over. But
E5, E6?
I was E5, okay. But I was working. So I was working in our HHT talk instead of our headquarters or squadron talk, but I was also working in the aid station at the same time.
So you're a busy dude.
Yeah, just a little bit. A lot of those days. Like, okay, it's midnight, go to sleep. Oh, hey, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, got to get up again.
Yeah. Uncle Sam didn't really care.
Nope, 4 hours. About all I got. Almost every night, 4 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal.
If I got lucky, 5 to 5.5.
And that was 7 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole deployment.
Yep.
Yeah, that's that wears
on you. It makes the days go by really quick when you're that busy.
That's the good news.
Yep.
The bad news is you're bone tired most of the time.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely tired.
So when you left in 13, did you feel like Afghanistan had changed from 09 to 13, or did it feel like deja vu?
Not really. I mean, it kind of felt the same. Didn't feel like there was much of a difference. I mean, I can tell you from the first time I drove through the first time we drove through downtown Kandahar in 09 to the last time I left Kandahar on a helicopter. I mean, looking at it, nothing changed. Everything looked the exact same. There was no improvements. There was nothing. I mean, there was more stuff on the road, but
do you think the attitude of the Afghanis had changed from 09 to 13?
I didn't really have a lot of encounters with the Afghanis. I mean, there were some missions we went on, but it would be more of my commander talking and me just being in the room with him because I had the radio to help him. And right. I mean, he'd do most of the talking. I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, so the whole medical thing changed as well. So my first deployment, it was, bring your wounded to us. They if they step on an IED or they get shot, like bring your wounded, bring your kids, bring your husband, bring your wife. If they get messed up, bring them to us. We'll treat them. Second deployment, it was if they came to the FOB, it was like, nope, hey, take them to the Afghan hospital up the road and let them do it. So it was a whole different ballgame medically.
Why do you think that decision was made to send them to their own medical help?
My best guess is to kind of force them to do it on their own.
Yeah, help them mature, essentially.
I mean, help them mature. I mean, but I think it was also kind of like a security kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was always the threat of suicide bombers or this and that, or the green on blue incidences and stuff like that. I mean, I think it was more of a security thing, but
yeah. So when you came back from the second deployment, you came back to Lewis.
Yep.
And then a little while later, you end up at Benning.
Yep.
And you're still you're an E5 combat medic.
Yep. I was E5 promotable right before I left, and then I'd been E5 promotable for a while actually, because lovely medic points, you can't ever get promoted.
It's hard, man.
Oh yeah, they were maxed out for like a year and a half. I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have 798 points. not going to get promoted. Whatever. All right, I'll stay in E5. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, got down here. I was E5 promotable, and I was in charge of 30 different medics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big job.
It was my platoon sergeant, and then it was me right underneath. Like, he was in charge of everybody, and then I had basically the same amount of people minus him and my LT.
Wow.
Yeah, I did basically his right-hand man helping him out.
Only 2 NCOs in the whole.
Oh no, there were more NCOs. They were over everybody else, but I was kind of the third in line, I guess you could say. I was the main section sergeant.
Okay.
Because, I mean, not to speak badly, but the other one was not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Do you think that E5 will listen to this recording?
Oh, if it does, I really don't care.
That's kind of what I assumed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I busted his balls while I was still in there with him, and
yeah,
love him to death. I mean, but it was different. Like, so when I got there, there were 3 of us. No, 2 that had actual, like, legitimate combat medic experience, like treating dudes that have been messed up, and my sergeant major was like, "Hey, it's you and him." And I'm like, "Oh, nobody else has combat experience." And then we had another one show up. Actually, he showed up right before I did. And then I found out they all forgot about him. And I was like, "Oh, hey, cool. So there is a third. Awesome." But everybody else there had been deployed to, like, Kuwait.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, we don't know. We don't have a CMB. We don't have anything like that. Like, we have EFMBs. I'm like, cool. You can do stuff by a book.
Right. Go read your book in the corner. That's great.
Good job. You can do stuff by the book. Do stuff in real life and then come talk to me.
You can do stuff in a sterile training environment. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. With somebody watching you.
Yeah, and giving you hints and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. No. Different ball game when you're doing it by yourself.
So you spent a couple years at Benning and did not deploy, it sounds like?
No.
Yeah.
What was it? We basically took over the 82nd stuff. We were doing the whole QRF thing that the 82nd used to do. And we were starting to train to do that. And then we did a couple physicals and stuff. And then that's where they were like, "Hey, you got a messed up head." And I'm like, "Okay. Like, you need to go get checked." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And then between that and having PTSD and stuff, they're like, and Army started downsizing. They're like, "Nope, see you later, dude." And I was like, "Oh."
And when they said messed up, when they said messed up head, what do they mean?
TBIs and stuff. I have real bad memory. Like, short-term memory loss is horrible.
Like from concussion.
Yeah. If I don't write it down, 30 minutes later, I completely forget about it.
Does it have a really deep impact on your quality of life?
Yes and no. I mean, it gets my wife mad at me quite a bit. Like, there was one time she told me to put the flea treatment on the dog's back, and apparently it took me like 3 weeks to do it. And then we were sitting on the couch one day, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I need to put flea treatment on the dog's back." She was like, "I told you that 3 weeks ago."
Yeah, it's
It got me in trouble a lot when I first got down here, because my platoon sergeant would be like, "Hey, you guys need to go do this." And I'm like, "All right, cool, got it." And I'd go off and I go do something real quick, and I come back, and like an hour later, they'll be like, "Hey, why are the guys sitting downstairs?" And I'm like, "You haven't told them what to do." Like,
it's scary and frustrating, right? It's got to be.
Oh, absolutely. I get lost all the time, even if I drive to places.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
I'll go past a turn, and my wife's like, "You forgot where we're going, right?" And I'm like, "Nah, taking the scenic route. It's all good." I'll go where I need to go.
Does it get better over time, or does it stay about the same?
Nope, it's gotten worse, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sucks, man.
I have fun with it. People are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, man. That sucks." I'm like, "No, I have fun, actually. I have a lot of fun with it."
You have a good attitude about it.
Yeah. I mean, what am I going to do? I can't make it any better.
Yeah, you figure out how to live with it, and
yeah, I mean, we've my wife and I have figured out how to manage it. I write a lot of things down, to write a lot of notes to myself, especially having my own business, I really have to write a lot of notes to myself because otherwise things wouldn't get done. And then I also have my wife who's like, hey, you didn't write this down. And I'm like, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks for being here to get me to
Yeah,
write it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Or things will pop up on my board out in my garage. And I'm like, where did this come from? I guess I need to do it. Somebody wrote it on there. I don't know if I wrote it or my wife. And I look at it. I'm like, nope, that's her handwriting. Because I write like a toddler.
So somebody who loves me wrote this down, so I should probably
exactly.
do it. Yeah.
It's like those post-it notes, people leave when they're being all romantic, like, hey, I love you. It's like, no, hey, get this done. Got it.
So they're post-it notes everywhere.
No, it's just one of those things. It's like, hey, did you write this down? Yep, got it. All right, cool. Like if I go to the grocery store by myself without her, it is terrible.
You just kind of wander around
random things, and I'll come back and she'll be like, "There's nothing that we needed on here," and I'm like, "My bad."
Do the two of you mostly laugh when that sort of thing happens, or is it frustrating or mixed?
Well, no. So initially it was frustrating, and then we figured out what was going on, and then it became, "Oh, okay, hey,
yeah, we can figure out how to manage this."
Yep, exactly.
All right. So when you got out, did you know what you were going to do?
No, not really. I mean, I'd been raised, I've been doing woodwork since I was 5. So I was like, well, let's give this a shot and see what happens. I mean, I went back to school for marketing. I actually have my bachelor's in marketing now. But that hasn't turned up anything because apparently I don't have enough marketing experience in the civilian world, which I don't have any.
To get a marketing job.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it helps you with your business now, right?
It does.
Yeah. That's cool. So how quickly after you got out of the Army did you form your company?
Let's see. I got out in what in the world?
Is it popping up on the computer?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
I hit the. All right, how do I get this back? All right, I have no idea. What the world is going on?
You're still good with me. I can hear you.
Okay, that'll work. Can you still see me?
Yeah, you're good. If it's not bothering you, it's not bothering me.
Yeah, no, it's all good. No, so it. I mean, we started doing everything, and it was more so of like a side gig kind of thing. Hey, there we go. And then in June, we actually met our business partner we have now. And he it started off
the June right after you got out?
No, sorry. I'm sorry. June of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Is when we met our business partner. And he so we'd done different things for friends and family and stuff like that, saying, hey, if you want to build, just let me know XYZ. And we did that. And then it became a business. Well, it became a business idea in December after I'd been working with our now business partner for a while. And then we actually launched the USA Flagworks business in April of this year.
So you guys are brand new.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Brand new. So, I mean, like I said, I did it as a hobby, just as something to do while I was going to school, and it wasn't like bringing in ungodly amounts of money or anything like that. It was just, oh, hey, cool. Look, I got a little extra spending money. Awesome. But now it is full-fledged, like, hey, we hit the ground running in April and haven't really looked back since.
So you guys are rolling.
Yes.
So tell the listening audience what USA Flagworks does.
So what we are is, I mean, obviously it's a veteran-owned business, but what we're looking for is the main goal is to get the company big enough and have a big enough following and grow it to where we can actually help other small veteran-owned businesses like myself was at a time, and be able to kind of springboard them and to help them grow their business. So, because my business partner saw an opportunity with me and was like, hey, man, here's what I want to do. I want to help you. Like, and then after we got talking about it, between him, myself, and my wife, it was like, hey, we should actually try to find small veteran-owned businesses, bring them in. We put them on our website for, a month or whatever, promote the heck out of them with everybody he knows, everybody we know, because that dude knows everybody, and get them to where they can make their businesses even bigger and actually help them propel everything. But what we do right now is we make custom flags. So we've got 3 different size flags. We've got a personal size flag, a living room size flag, a waving flag that we do where the wood actually waves. And then actually you can see it behind me because we just unveiled it. The draped flag behind us is our newest one. And so the draped flags are not customizable. All the other flags are completely customizable. We can put names, logos, anything you want on there. We put it on there, and as soon as you order it, within 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks is the maximum, it is shipped and coming to you. It just depends on the workload we've got at the time.
Are you doing all the woodworking yourself, or do you have people helping you?
So it started off as myself, and before we actually launched everything, we were doing flags with our business partner. We were doing like 10 at a time just to send them out to his people to see what they thought of them. And I would get maybe 5 done a week. And then my wife stepped in and was like, hey, because she's got her bachelor's in law and her master's in management. And so she kind of came in, and everything she learned in school, she's like, hey, no, we need to do this way. And she came up with this whole like step-by-step thing of, okay, now we need to do this and this and this and this on these days. Cool. Got it. She'd be like, hey, you need to have these 7 flags done with, cutting them out or putting the logos on there. And then these next 7 need to be done whenever. And we're now actually up to being able to do about 20 of them a week.
That's pretty good throughput.
Oh yeah. No, I give my wife every bit of credit on that one.
Yeah. If your wife's like my wife, she can figure out processes a lot better than I can. And she's certainly a lot more organized than I am.
Absolutely. Like I thought I was organized, and then she came in and started helping me. And I was like, I fought it at first. I was like, no, I'm stuck in my ways of doing things. This is how I do things. This is how things are being done. And she was like, no, we need to make this way more productive. She's like, you have way too many flags to be doing it your way.
She's smarter than you, maybe. I know my wife is. And at this point in your marriage, you probably learned that happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, but also kind of acknowledge the knowledge that she has.
Yeah.
And then it makes things even better business-wise.
Right. You could be
way more productive, way more effective, because I will tell you right now, I was ineffective.
Well, I mean,
my way, and then she stepped in and was like, hey, no, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, fought it for about 2 days, and then I finally realized what she was doing, and I was like, nope, okay, actually this works way better than anything I did.
Jeremy, you weren't necessarily wrong. She was just more right than you were.
Yeah, no, I like to look at it like that. That's actually not a bad way of looking at it. I was right for 2 days. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm dead wrong. No, I'll throw in the white towel. I'll wave the white flag like, hey, yep, no, I surrender. Your way is 100 times better than mine is.
Yeah, right. So if our listeners want to check out your products or want to purchase something, how do they do that?
So they can either go to purchase them, they have to go to www.usaflagworks.com. But if they want to, reach out and send us a message and ask us any kind of questions or anything, they can either go to the Facebook page. They can just search at USA Flagworks, and then they can send us a message on there. Or if they go to the website, there's a email down there. It's the support@usaflagworks.com. And they can send us an email saying, hey, how does the process work? We've got plenty of videos that we can send them. Actually, on our Facebook page is the video of how actually that flag right there was made. It's not a full video. It's little snippets of it showing the process. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. It's not that flag. It's the colored version of the flag. So we have a red, white, and blue version, and then we have the subdued version of the draped flag. But they can go on there, send us an email, and my wife runs the email for everything on that. They can ask whatever questions they want. Say, hey, how does the process work? Can you send us pictures of whatever? If they don't see a picture they want, or if they want to say, hey, can you put this logo on a flag before I order it? Send it to us. Absolutely. We'll let you know. Hey, yeah, we can do it, or no, we can't.
That's
and about 99% of the time I can put it on the flag, and I do everything by hand. Every bit of detail on a logo is burned by hand, everything.
You're very, very talented, Jeremy. I can tell a couple times I've been to your website. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that some of the things you're doing were even possible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. It's a huge, huge compliment. You can say it was.
Yeah, she can join. Tell her she can speak into the mic.
Come on over. No, what were you saying? Oh, that one?
Yeah, the flag we just made.
Okay. Yeah, no, she reminded me again. No, so actually, because initially we weren't sure if we were able to. So the hockey world, I don't know if you've read about it, just had a fairly significant loss on July 4th with one of the goalies from CBJ.
I did not know that.
Yep. So the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of their goalies there was a firework incident, and the goalie actually passed.
Oh my gosh.
Due to injuries and all that stuff. So we actually have our business partner called us up and said, hey man, we need a big flag fest. And it was like 11:30 at night. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, need a big flag fest. I said, all right, cool. What do we got? And he's like, hey, we're going to make a flag and we're going to send it to their organization as a tribute to him. Wow. Saying, hey, this and that and blah, blah, blah. We're going to put this on there. We're going to put this there. And I was like, cool, got it. And he's like, how quickly can we get it out? He talked to us about that on Tuesday, and it's getting shipped out on Saturday.
Wow.
Started it yesterday, and it's getting shipped out on Saturday.
It's a big flag.
Yeah, no, it is. It's one of our living room flags, and it's 37 inches long and 19 and a half inches wide.
Wow. Is your partner a big hockey guy too?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Huge hockey fan, huge into hockey and all that stuff. And he's been, like I said, he's been a huge help with everything, with his connections and all that stuff, and getting the word out about everything and helping grow the business. So,
Jeremy, tell me your favorite hockey story.
Oh, let's see. Oh, my favorite hockey story, actually.
Yeah.
So it would actually be my son. So his what was it? His first year playing travel hockey. He got his first game he ever played as a goalie. So he got what was it, 20? The team lost like 28-0. He had put goalie pads on like 3 times. The kid that was supposed to be the goalie broke his wrist, and his coach calls us and says, hey, I need you to bring goalie gear for Jake to play in this tournament. And I'm like, dude, he's put goalie pads on like 3 times. And he's like, it's all good. I'm like, all right, whatever. First game he plays, loses 28-0, comes off with the biggest smile on his face. Like, my wife and I are like, God, he's going to hate this. Comes off with the biggest smile on his face. And he was like, that was awesome. I'm like, but you sucked. I didn't tell him that. I'm like, you let 28 goals in, dude. Like, the other kid didn't let in any.
Yeah, but I had fun, Dad.
And he was like, I had a blast. And I'm like, all right, cool. You really like doing this. And then about 3-4 months later, he got his first shutout. And he came off the ice mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? Like, you got your first shutout, dude. Like, you should be happy. Like, if you were 21, I'd take you out to go get a beer. Like, hey, congratulations, dude. And he was like, I didn't do anything. That's the point, sir. I was like, hey, don't be mad about that. Like, that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to do anything as a goalie. Like, that's good. That means your team is keeping the puck away from you. And he was like, but we won, and I just stood there.
Yeah.
Now he gets a shutout, and he's all excited.
Yeah.
But I always remind him, like, hey, your first shutout, dude, you hated the world and everybody who lived in it. Like, you were just mad. And he was like, no, I wasn't. And I'm like, oh, absolutely.
It's all about perspective. As an adult, you really appreciate a shutout. As a kid who just wanted to mix it up and have fun, I get his point. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I touched he was like, I stopped like 2 pucks. And I'm like, that's good. And he was like, but I didn't do anything. That's all he kept on talking about. Well, I didn't do anything. I didn't help my team win. And I'm like, no, actually you did.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, of course he did.
All right, whatever. Oh, my wife actually has one that's different. What
Does
you got over there?
Does she want to tell it directly?
Yeah, come here real quick.
I will tell it directly. I don't want to be on camera yet.
Oh, she doesn't want to be on
we
camera.
don't share the video. We don't share the video. We don't
I'll
share the
tell you
video.
correctly. Can you hear me though?
Here, come here.
I'll sit over.
They don't share the video. He doesn't share the video.
Oh, okay.
So you're good.
So this past season, he got his very first concussion, and we were in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Raleigh for us is about an 8 to 9 hour drive. Okay.
Yep.
We did not know, because of COVID rules, we couldn't go into the arena where he was playing. We had to watch it on our phones. We didn't know he had a concussion. He comes out and he's like, my head hurts. And we said, okay, no problem. We get him into the car and he falls asleep and wakes up 10 minutes later, and he was like, oh, great. I had this great nap. And we're like, what? He goes, yeah, I slept for an hour. We were like, you slept for 10 minutes. And then proceeded to talk the whole way home for the entire 9 hours.
8 hours. Or 8.5, actually.
Yeah.
Non-stop talking.
And
that's how we found out he had a concussion, because normally you can't hear him at all.
It was terrible.
You have to like check the back seat to make sure he's not, like, we didn't leave him at a gas station. This time you knew he was there.
Oh yeah. No, you knew every bit of it. Like,
and I guess when it all came out with his coach about what happened, he called Jake over, and he was like, after the first goal, and he was like, are you okay? And Jake's like, yeah, sure. And then he goes back out, another goal goes in, and he calls him back over, and he's like, Jake, are you okay? He goes, yeah, sure. And then he calls him back over after the third goal goes in, because he literally raised his hand, and then the puck was already in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was like a 10-second delay. The puck goes in the net. Ref's already getting the puck out of the net, and his hand comes up, and we're like,
it's funny now, not funny then, I'm sure.
No, it was so disturbing then. That was the first encounter, like, out of the 7 years he's played hockey, he's never had a concussion until last season. And it had to be I knew my child was not going to be a CEO, but after that concussion, I was like, oh my gosh, there is something seriously wrong with you.
yeah, like,
But it was hilarious.
the next day, he's sitting there making lunch, and he was like, I'm gonna make chicken nuggets for lunch. And we're like, all right, cool, whatever, dude. Turns the oven on, and he's like, I'm gonna go take a nap. And I'm like, wait a minute. We thought you were making lunch. And he was like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. And then oven heats up, and he puts his chicken nuggets in this oven, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap. And I'm like, no, you have food in the oven.
That's not how this works. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I do. I'm like, you just put it there. And he's like, oh yeah, I got like 12 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, sit down. Like, you're not taking a nap, sir.
Is he okay now?
Oh yeah, no,
definitely.
he's absolutely good now.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. My mom was with us, and that was one of the first trips she had rode with us. And she looked at me and Jeremy and were like, is he always this talkative on road trips? And we were like, no,
never.
This is the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually knew he was there.
Yeah. I mean, he got quiet for 5 minutes and then looked at his grandma and goes, you thought I was going to stop talking, didn't you? Joke's on you. And he just started talking again about random stuff. And it was just like, oh my Lord. But it made the trip go by really, really fast.
Yeah, very, very fast.
Like, it did not feel like an 8-hour road trip. It felt like I was on the road for about 2. And then we were home, and I'm like,
we gotta go to the ER.
Did we stop for gas? I was like, no, we did. And I was like, all right, now we're going to the ER. We're going to get you looked at, son. And he walked in, and they were like, yep, he's got a concussion. And I'm like, you don't say.
And what do they do for concussion?
For him, nothing. He wasn't allowed. Actually, he was pulled out of school for 2 weeks. So he actually got a 2-week early vacation for school for Christmas break. And then he wasn't able to use his phone or look at TV or anything like that for about a week and a half. And then they were like, if he's able to tolerate it after, X amount of days, then he can slowly integrate back into things and all that stuff. And it was probably, I'd say, about 3 weeks or so before he was fully able to sit there and look at the TV without his head hurting or play on his phone or watch something on his phone or anything like that. So,
yeah. And how did he get the concussion? From a puck?
From a puck hitting him in the mask.
Yeah, he had a puck. It just hit the right way. And when his coach called him over there the final time, he was like, Jake, just get off the ice. And Jake looked at him, and Jake is never this blunt with anybody. He was like, thank God, because my head hurts. And then got on the bench and just sat there.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. He's like his dad. He's 6 foot.
He's 6 foot now, and wears a size 14 shoe like I do, and he just turned 14. And
he's a big boy.
Oh yeah. He likes to think he's taller than me. And I'm like, no, sir, you still got another 2 inches to go. Nice try.
Yeah, well, it's good to be big if you're gonna play goalie too, right?
Yeah. Oh, he fills up the net, that's for sure.
All right, how did you two meet?
So actually we met in middle school.
All right, nice.
Yep, we met in middle school.
I thought he was weird.
She thought I was weird, and I liked her in middle school. And then we went to 2 separate high schools, and then got as soon as we got out of high school, it was probably it was about a year after we got out of high school. Almost a year. And it was her birthday. It was her birthday party, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, man, a friend of mine's birthday party is going on." And he was like, "I don't want to go by myself. You want to go with me?" And I was like, "No, like I don't want to go to somebody's birthday party. I don't know who it is. Like that's kind of weird." And he was like, "No, come on, man, come on." And I was like, "All right, whatever, dude." And I did, and I came walking up, and she was like, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, "Cool," because I don't know who you are. She was like, "You're Jeremy Moulder." I was like, "I sure am. Still don't know who you are." She was like, "I'm Madelyn." And I'm like, Madelyn. And we started talking, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And that's kind of it. Like, just took off from there, and been married for 14, almost 15 years now. And
so y'all got married before you joined?
Yes. No, we got engaged before I joined, and then got married. Actually, I went home for Christmas leave, actually, to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. It's worked out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Got married at 19 years old.
Got married at 19 years old and been going strong.
I'd be looking for my third wife probably if I got married when I was 19.
Nah, I've got my one, and she's my rock.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That's awesome.
Biggest supporter on the woodworking thing and everything else, and actually the biggest helper too.
Yeah, she's got you set up, man.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, she'll go out there and she'll work with me. She'll burn the back of the flag. She burns the stripes on the flags and does all the sizing of the logos for everything, traces all the stars out so I can cut them out real quick. And
that's awesome, man.
Oh, well, yeah, hey, no, we're a dynamic duo.
Jeremy, we're right at an hour and a half, and I don't want to take any more of your time. And we typically go about an hour, 15, hour and a half. I will say that I hope your business absolutely crushes it. I hope you're able to help hundreds, maybe even thousands of other veteran-owned businesses. And I am deeply, deeply appreciative of your service to our country. I can't thank you enough. And I really
appreciate that.
And I really appreciate you joining us and talking to me about your story, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, just one more thing if I can. So
sure, please.
Completely forgot to mention it, and I feel like a jerk. So another thing we actually just started in June with USA Flagworks is nominate a veteran. It's to be the Spotlight Veteran of the Month. So if anybody who's listening knows a veteran they want to nominate, send us an email at support@usaflagworks.com or send us a message on our Facebook page. give us a write-up on him, say, hey, look, this is why I want to nominate him. Here's his info. This is what he did in the military. This is what he's doing after the military, he or she, and let us know. And then every month on the 15th, we decide who it is, and whoever gets picked receives a free flag from us that says Spotlight Veteran of the Month. It's got a little set of dog tags on there. It says the month and year on it. No,
that's a great idea. And you can nominate certainly guys that are out of the military, but even guys and gals that are currently serving, right?
Not necessarily. So we're looking to get their story out of what they're doing, like what they did in the military and what they're doing now.
Got it. So it's
to kind of bring the light of, hey, look, this guy was in the military, or this girl was in the military, and now look how super successful he or she is outside of the military.
Yeah, they did some amazing things in the military, and they're still doing amazing things after.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Eventually we'll get to a service member of the month. We're just starting with veterans of the month.
No, I got it. Yeah, makes sense. That's awesome, man. All right, well, cool. Hey, I'm going to stop the recording real quick.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd also really appreciate if you'd rate and review us. You can find us at scodupodcast.com.